Hi there, welcome to JBJS Clinical Classroom on the upgraded platform. In this video, I'll be walking you through Clinical Classroom and all the new improvements and how to use it. Before I get started, I just want to let you know that I may refer to Clinical Classroom as Learner, just because Clinical Classroom has two different sides to it. The first of which is Learner. This is what you're looking at now, and it's meant for any practicing orthopedic surgeons or residents who are looking to go through the modules and get credits or just study. The other side of Clinical Classroom is called Clinical Classroom Educator, which is meant for any educators, program directors, program coordinators, or faculty who want to look at the progress of their residents. So educator is traditionally meant for any institutions who have institutional subscriptions with us. What I'll be focusing on in this video is just Learner, well, let's get started. So when you log in as a resident or a practicing orthopedic surgeon, you'll be brought to the dashboard, which is what you see right now. Clinical Classroom has several different modules, which you're looking at here, and these modules take the form of different tiles, and they're all under the to-do column. So this column here is everything that you have yet to complete that's in progress. So as you can see here, these are all learn tiles. So you're learning ethics in the ethics module, and this is your progress. And over here is your estimated time of completion. We have trauma, 11%, and just under 5 hours to go to finish it. And I'll just scroll down to show you all of our different modules. And then down here, you can see practice set as well. So this is essentially the dashboard. This is the main area where you'll spend as a user or a learner of Clinical Classroom. Over here to the right, you'll see my name, and under it, you'll see my total progress in Clinical Classroom. So my total or average progress of all the modules is 8%. And I can also filter these tiles over here by different types. We have any learn, essentially any parts of Clinical Classroom. If you're a resident, sometimes you'll be assigned exams, which will show up first, and they'll say exam instead of learn. So if you're part of any programs that have assigned you any exams, you'll also see these as tiles. And you can also see practice sets. You can filter by activity or experience, and so on. You also have the opportunity to sort. I'm not going to get into this very much. So just looking at this home page here, this is essentially, you can click on any module that you want to work in. For now, I'm just going to click on trauma. Let's say I have an upcoming rotation in trauma. So what I'll do is I'll click on trauma, and then I'll be taken to, once it loads, to that module where I'm able to go through the specific probes of that module and have the system learn from me. As a refresher, Clinical Classroom is an adaptive learning platform. It's different than any test banks. So while it takes a second to load, essentially the platform is learning from you and tailoring your experience to your weaknesses. Essentially, it's learning from your weaknesses and sort of phasing out your strengths. So once you're brought to the trauma beginning, you're sort of shown how to traverse through Clinical Classroom. This is our confidence scale. Nothing really has changed here. The only thing that you'll notice before I go into the probes is this sort of panel over here. This is a self-assessment that you get to set to basically tell the system, how you feel about your grasp on this knowledge. So if I'm feeling, pretty neutral, like I'm neither weak nor strong at trauma, I'll probably say I'm competent. If I have not gone through trauma before, and I'm sort of new to this subspecialty, I'll just mark it as novice. And then the other side of it is expert. So what you're doing here is you're telling the system what you think, you're self-assessing your knowledge. So if you mark yourself as a novice, it's going to walk you through possibly easier probes. It's going to show you more learning resources, and make sure that you sort of go through the process in a not necessarily more slowly, but that you have more information to look at, as opposed to if you mark yourself as an expert, where you may go quicker through this because you're not shown as many explanations, and your experience may be a bit tougher than that of a novice. So just to quickly go through self-assessment. So what I'll do is I'll click next and I'll be brought to my first question, which is a multiple choice question. And what I'm going to do here is essentially just like any other question, and as in with the last version, I'm just going to click on something random, and then I'm just going to say I'm not sure. So by clicking on the confidence level, you're submitting your question, and it shows you what the correct answer is, what my answer is, and what the incorrect answers are. I would focus on the color, and that will basically show you or tell you which answers are incorrect. So if it's red, it's incorrect. If it's green, it is correct, which I got this one incorrect. I can learn more here by clicking on the learning resource. So I have a pop-up here that gives me, an added explanation about the subject at hand. At any point, I can challenge. If I like to, I can click next and go to any of the resources that we have as well. So this should be pretty familiar for any current institutions who have used Clinical Classroom before. Nothing has really changed. It just looks a little different. I'll click close, and I'm taken back to the question so I can re-review it. And there are always sort of rationale statements below as well, basically giving information as to why the correct answer is correct and why the incorrect answers are incorrect. I'll click next. And since I've gone through the learning resource, it doesn't take me through that automatically, but sometimes it will. So this is another question that's associated with a picture. I'm just going to say I'm not sure. I guessed correct, however, I was not confident. So the system is going to note that I wasn't confident about my answer, and I'll probably be shown this question again or something similar to it. So here's all the explanation. I'll click next. And in this case, because I wasn't confident, it's going to show me the learning resource anyway. So I can click here and I can look at the learning resource here. I'll click next, see the resources if I want to check it out. In this case, I don't really want right now. And I'll be taken to the next question. So at any point in time, I can change the self-assessment. Sometimes the system, if I'm flying through it and I'm getting everything correct, will change me automatically. But I can also look at my total progress for trauma as well. And it shows me how much time I have left. So this sequence is pretty much the same in any module you want to work in. The only difference is obviously the content is will vary. So what I'll do now is I'll go back, I'll click the menu over here, and I'll click dashboard. And once I go back to the dashboard, my progress in trauma should change. So a lot of what residents or practicing orthopedic surgeons can do is just go through the modules, depending on if you want to study or if you want to get CME, SCE credits. But what I'll go all the way down here is I'll go to practice sets. And what I can also do is I can add a specific practice set based on information that I've missed in modules or any content that I haven't seen yet. And it's pretty easy. It's just like creating your own quiz for yourself. But obviously you're essentially, constructing this for yourself. You're not just working in modules. So if I had, an exam coming up in foot and ankle, hand and wrist, and peds, I can just go through here and select all of these and create this practice set for myself. And by going through this practice set, any progress you make in this practice set will be reflected in the dashboard. So let's say I did all of these probes for foot and ankle. If I finish the practice set, all of this progress will be reflected in the foot and ankle module that we saw earlier. So I'm going to cancel this, and I'm going to go back to the dashboard. And once you make any practice sets, they'll all show up down here. If I go just a little bit further, I can also get an overall performance, some metrics on my performance, knowledge, grit, meta learning. If you click on the question mark here, this gives you some information about what these mean. And I can also look at my credits earned down here as well and be taken straight to the credit center. So I can click here for credit center, or I can also go in the menu under performance. I can go to credit center over here as well. So this is good for any surgeons who are using the platform for CME or SAE credits. The system, essentially, if you go through 6 questions correctly, you get 1 AMA PRA credit, Category 1 credits, and you can look at your credits over here, and you can also create a transcript and select a date range for that transcript as well. Print it just down here. If you want to take a different approach and you don't necessarily want to go through the modules, you could always go in through the library. This is great if you finished a module and you want to just go back and look at some questions. Let's say ethics is typically one where people finish quickly because it's only 20 minutes. Not too many questions in here. You can always go in through here and you can see the slide. These are essentially the learning resource associated with it. And then what's green over here are the types of questions. So you can see here, this is a multiple choice question. This is a categorizing question for this type of topic. So this is all over here. If I click on something, let's say I want to do standards of professionalism, I'll click here and I'll look at this question. So it's another way of going through it. It's just a bit less user-friendly, I guess. Maybe user-friendly isn't the right word, but it's just structured in a different way than modules. I always recommend going through the modules because the system is sort of learning from you as you go through it and sort of tailoring the experience to you, whereas you have full control in the library. Finally, as a user of Clinical Classroom, you can go into reports and you can look at a lot of cool information about your performance here. I'm not going to spend too much time in here, but you can always look at topic scores. This is essentially information that you get from the dashboard. You can go in the module, see your total progress for that module, your total time spent, and your time left in here. You could look at your confidence and performance, to see if you're overconfident in things or if you're guessing a lot. And then you can also look at your most challenging learning objective as well. It's pulling a lot of information, so typically it'll crunch for a long time, just as a heads up there. And then I'm just going to go back to the dashboard really quickly. Let's say you finish a module, probably ethics or any other things that you're spending a lot of time in. You'll see another column appear over here called refresh. If you finish any exams as well, they'll also appear in refresh. So you can just go back. Let's say I finished an exam and I completed it, submitted it. I can click on that exam that shows up in this refresh column, and I can go through that exam and review it at any time. If I finish any modules, I can go into the refresh and I can look there and see how my performance was in that area. So that's pretty much it for Clinical Classroom or Learner. Pretty much it's all the same from the last platform, except sort of the experience is a bit different. We definitely have a lot more metrics and such. The system learns from you in different ways, so you get more comprehensive glimpse on your performance. If you have any questions, we realize this is a totally new platform. If you have any questions or any concerns, I always recommend going to the Learner FAQs over here. It'll pop up over here, and you can have most of your questions answered over here. But you can always reach out to us as well. And by doing that, you can go to you can log out and go to our store and contact us there. If you have any information about accreditation, you can always click here as well and get that information. But we're here to help you make sure that you have the smoothest experience in Clinical Classroom, and we're really excited for you to try out this new platform because it's a significant upgrade. So thank you for tuning in, and we're excited for you to get started.